Let me see. Testing. Hello. Does that sound good?
Does it sound good on camera?
I think so.
Do you guys want any props, like if I get into life jackets or leashes, or
Yeah.
don't involve?
Yes. Props.
Really, props? Okay.
The more props, the better.
Really? Okay, I got you.
Do you need a hand with some props?
No, it's okay. I'm just gonna grab my life
That's a fine yacht you've got there.
Thank you, sir. This is my wider board today because it was kind of rough coming through.
So it's like a stand-up paddleboard.
Yeah, it's a stand-up paddleboard.
Wow, but that's an intense one. That looks great.
I don't need those. Water. There we go. Because I do so much ocean paddle as well too. This is one thing that's more important out in the ocean.
Yes.
Ocean, you cannot drink it, even if you're here. If you forget water,
You'll be okay.
right? You don't want to. We don't want to. I don't want to. But
I've drunk enough of it before.
exactly. When the time comes, you need.
I'm going to need a rope for the ball, which I'll grab from this. So that's good. So,
You're not live right now, right?
Yeah, we're live right now.
Oh, you're live?
Yeah, part 2. Mersivity part 2.
Mersivity part 2. So the basic idea is nature, technology, humanity. And the basic principle is that the environment is that which is around us, and the environment is us ourselves. And this is an example of a vessel, a unit sphere, 1 meter radius, 2 meter diameter. It's a unit sphere in meters, and it defines the boundary. The environment is the boundary. The environment is the technology that sort of sets forth the relationship between the environment, which is us, and the environment, which is around us. So we see this is the border between us and what surrounds us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of our philosophy of mersivity. You know, that we're seeing mersivity as this, you know, and the underwater VR headset is another example of environment. That's the philosophy, that's the concept we're speaking to. And so the paddleboard is a great example because traditionally cyborgs have been around for more than 1 million years. You know, Manfred Klein says cyborg is a person riding a bicycle, cybernetic organism, nature, you know, technology and human. But when you really think about it, it's vessels are the first, like more than 1 million years ago, our ancestors were on vessels before the invention of clothing, before the invention of the wheel, even before Homo sapiens. And the earliest vessels would have been some kind of thing that you stand on. But the paddleboard is a great example because it's kind of akin to some early, like you stand on something and float along, and then you grab a paddle and start propelling yourself.
The paddle is just an extension of your arm. It's an extension of man.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Just
so,
like a tool.
so it's environment. The tool is, it's not just an extension of the human, but it's a border or boundary between us and what's around us.
Helps us define gravity.
Yeah, or helps us connect to the world around us, as well as helps us connect to nature. And so that's kind of what we want to speak about here at this beach. So yeah, let's begin. The live stream is upon us.
Let's get my cheat notes going. Here we go. Cheat notes.
Good.
Oh, you're making
Hi.
Yeah.
So my name is Tommy. I started paddleboarding, okay, about 4 years ago, but never got intensely into the sport as of racing until almost 2 years ago when I got my first race book. But I can see a lot of people doing paddling after COVID or even during COVID, which, you know, it's a great way to get out, especially when you live in the city. We are so close to the waterfront with that much access, all right? Okay, it's really good to get out even on a weekday after work or even on weekend with your friends. But for me, I would like to actually talk a little bit about safety today, actually, about paddleboarding. So there's a couple points, cheat sheet, all right, is your life jacket. We all know life jackets, quote unquote life jackets, but the proper name is called PFD, personal flotation.
Okay, do you want to step up to the mic?
Sure.
That'd be perfect.
Really? Right? I'm not loud enough?
Well, no, it just defines
Okay.
it. You know?
That's true. That's true.
The mic forms that rule. So even if it wasn't turned on, it would still feel the useful.
But it is turned on.
Yeah.
So here's a version of a PFD, which we call a full life jacket, a rigid life jacket. It's made out of foam. All right. It's thick and it goes over your body as a chest PFD. Has a couple pockets as well too, and we'll get into the whistle later. So there's another form of PFD that I do not have with me today. It's a sort of a waist belt or a chest harness, but it's actually not inflated. It has a CO2 cartridge. If you pull the lanyard, it will break the CO2. It will break the CO2 with the nozzle, with a pin nozzle going in, and it will inflate the inside air bladder with CO2, not air, but with carbon dioxide that comes from the compressed canister. So that's one. But if you're going out alone, okay, or even on bad weather days that you want to challenge yourself, I stress having a full or rigid life jacket, because when you go in the water, this thing will float you back up the surface no matter what. Even if you're knocked out or if you're feeling weak, whatever, you don't have to swim against the environment.
Is it legally required to have a life jacket on a paddleboard?
I'm not a police officer or anybody, but as far as I know, if you're playing around a beach, okay, floating around, doing sup yoga, or just not going to a point A to point B destination, okay, a life jacket is not required by law. Okay, but if you are just saying, hey, I'm going to go around the island, you have a point of travel, okay, so this is actually not from, I think it's from the Canadian Coast Guard, right, where you got to have a life jacket.
Because you're a vessel.
You're a vessel now. So a life jacket like this, okay, a rigid life jacket, you can actually strap onto your board, but you will have to have a 25-meter safety rated throw line on board for you to not wear this, to be on your board, all right? But if you have an inflatable one, the one that I'm talking about that has a little CO2 canister inside, you have to have that on your body at all times. Like, look, the law is here to protect us. That's it. We can argue all we want, but it comes back down to safety. What's going to be working for you when you get in trouble? That's all it is.
I see.
And then, sorry, cheat notes. And then the second thing about stand-up paddleboard is this thing. This is the side what we call, this is what we call a sup leash. So this side will attach to your stand-up paddleboard. There's a lanyard that you can actually loop this into. And this can either go around your ankle or around any part of your PFD as well too. All right, so what this actually does for you is actually when you fall, most likely you'll be falling away from your paddleboard with inertia. You'll be kicking it out. And then you don't have people swimming for it as well too. It will bring the paddleboard back, or you could actually just clip the lanyard and pull the paddleboard back towards you. But on a windy day, if you fall off your paddleboard, that wind is going to pick up your paddleboard. It doesn't matter what paddleboard it is. It could be a hard carbon race up, could be a inflatable. That thing's going to be going like light speed with the wind, and there's no way you're going to be able to swim after. So always, please everyone, paddle with your leash. This is one of the most important things as well too, on top of your PFD. And then the next one will be it's just a simple safety whistle. Doesn't cost an arm and a leg, right? But for you to yell against the wind or upwind, people can't hear you. But when you have this, one deep breath, you got everybody's attention, right? This one will actually help you causing a noise, okay, that's telling people that you're in distress and come to your need of aid. And then also, a lot of people actually like to come out to the waterfront to see the sunrise and the sunset, right? It's not a legal thing right now to actually have a light on a paddleboard. There's no written code for that right now. But just to be smart, you know what, keep yourself visible, have a simple waterproof bike light that you can have, red or white. As long as somebody has a light on, you're visible. Okay, there's still a lot of boaters out here, whatever, that's going in and out of the harbor. Having a light will just make you visible to them, so they don't actually, they'll try to avoid you when they see you up close. And then the other one would be sun protection. Any sunscreen will work, but better to have waterproof, right? Because we're not always dry on our paddleboard. Many times, like myself, we will fall, right? Okay, have it on your body or in your dry bag or even in your life jacket pocket, if you're going out for a long duration of time, to put sunscreen on. That's all it is. You don't want to burn, right? And then getting into the taboo subject, alcohol. It's a very personal choice of alcohol, but for myself and many others, right, we choose not to drink on the water, right, because it is against the law. Okay, when you're on a vessel on power, right, it's against the law, but it's a safety thing. You could say, hey, I'm good with one drink. All right. Hey, there's another friend that's coming out with more beer. I'm going to take a second drink, right? And then the party gets going into the fourth and fifth drink. Now you're pretty much intoxicated and on the water. When you go in, that's when problems after arise. Like, I mean, I have one saying, you know what? Finish your paddle, get dry on land, and then drink and get wet again. Right? It is a personal thing. I get it. But for me, I choose not to be intoxicated in any way or form on the water, just for my own safety as well. Because if your friends need to come and rescue you or to come to your aid, you've now actually started risking in their safety as well too. Right? And then the next thing is actually wind and lightning. Before you go out, check the wind, because when the wind catches you, okay, and you're blowing down the lake and you can't paddle back up towards the wind, then you got to find an exit further along, call Uber or call a friend or a family to come pick you up, and also check lightning. The lightning map that we most use is actually called Lightning Maps with an S, .org, and it will tell you all the current and the past, I think, into the 1 hour of where all the lightning strikes happen, and you can see if that thunder cell is going to be coming your way. All right, because once you're on water, all right, and most of us are very, Steve, what's the word I'm looking for? Conductive.
Yes, conductive.
We're very conductive to electricity, right? And basically, even with our carbon boards or carbon paddle, all right, lightning will strike. Just a matter when, not if.
Does that happen?
Yes, we've heard about lightning strikes in groups of people paddling, whatever. It doesn't, so lightning comes so fast, you can't really see it even on camera or whatever. You just feel that shot, and then you can see a couple people just drop. Just like when you see those people.
They drop?
They drop.
Like it knocks them out?
Knocks them out, stops their heart, stops your breathing, whatever. It's just like some of those soccer games that you could see from on YouTube. Lightning strikes on soccer fields, right? You could see half the field will just drop because of lightning strike.
What kind of radius of effect can lightning have? Like, from how far away would it affect the swimmer?
It really, really depends on where the negative electron is, I say. So even if you're in the water, okay, or even holding up something conductive, right? Lightning will probably hit a kilometer away from you. It might not hit you. It's just that chance. It's just that probability.
Well, I mean, like, not even just directly hitting you, but from like.
The proximity. It's really depending on the charge as well too. It's so hard. It's so hard to calculate or to fathom the million of volts coming down in a certain amperage with a certain area that conducts more electrons than other areas conducting less electrons in the atmosphere. So it's very hard to say. If you hear lightning, just get out the water. But you know what, everybody? I think that concludes my cheat sheet. Thank you very much for letting me speak, and it's been an honor to be here with Professor Steve and everybody at this Ontario Beach crowd.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you for joining
Thank
me.
you.
That was a beautiful, beautiful talk.
Thank you, my friend. Oh, Steve, man, thank you for all this.
Yeah. That's perfect. That
Thank
was
you, sir.
really, really good.
It wasn't too jittery. Oh, it's still live.
Oh yeah, we don't pause.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's something for you.
Oh, thank you, sir. No, you don't have to give me anything. Keep it for the next. Keep it for Niv.
Okay.
Yeah, keep it for Niv. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. But thank you. You know what?
That was really good.
Thank you.
That was really good, because I think a lot of people just jump on a paddleboard without really thinking about it. And you know, when you buy a paddleboard, it comes with a paddle. But I always thought it would be interesting, if they're going to sell you the whole kit, maybe they should include a life jacket as well too, because it doesn't cost that much.
When they sell you the boat, they don't come with fire extinguishers.
That's true. But you know, you buy a paddleboard, they say you've got everything you need to get on the water. They give you the pump, the paddle, the board, the backpack to carry it.
Water rules and water laws, whatever, is different from even province to province. Canada is pretty much umbrellaed under Coast Guard and Department of Transportation, right? But in the USA, if you go from state to state, it's different. Some places don't even, some freshwater lake will actually have a leash. Adamant by leash, because you could get fined by city officials, but you don't have to have a life jacket.
So it's interesting.
Oh,
It'd be
in some
interesting.
places
There's
they
no.
insist on a leash.
Yeah,
Is
some
that when it's
lakes.
rough? Is that where it's rougher? Or?
Sorry? No, it's just whoever written the law who understands the safety behind the sport.
Oh, one other thing I
Yes, sir.
read somewhere too is that a leash that's around the waist is a lot safer, because if you have to free yourself in an emergency or you get
Oh yeah,
caught,
that's what I
it's
didn't get into.
The legs.
No, it's called a river leash, right? So river leash really has a lanyard that you can pull, and there's a shaft that will release
yeah, around the waist.
Around the waist. Or there's called a river belt. Again, you could pull that, or it's a Velcro you can pull off. Just in case your paddleboard is stuck underneath a structure, and the river's taking you into the water and under the water, and you can't get out because you're shackled in now under the water. There's a safety release.
Because you often can't get to your foot.
Exactly.
If you're being pulled down.
Yeah. Sorry, I never got into that. That was on my cheat note, but I missed it.
Yeah.
My apologies.
So it would be
We got it
interesting.
on video.
Yeah.
it's on the live stream.
Yeah.
So that's a key safety feature is to have a waist.
But on river, because out here, okay, you really don't want to be detached from your board, is because when you're frantic, when you're actually not yourself, you're now like a cat in the water type of situation, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be ripping stuff off your body by accident. Yeah, out here.
But it'd be interesting to have these rules and these guidelines with each paddleboard, right? Like a handbook.
Yeah.
I mean, most paddling clubs, they'll have a poster on the inside of the wall explaining like paddle safety, rowboat, dragon boat safety, and all, right? Okay, but it's just not public information enough. If I can give you some information.
Yeah, I can post it on the paddle up map, like paddle safety. What we need is a paddleboard safety guideline for this area.
Yeah.
Because there's probably risks that are inherent to this area too, right? Like, what are the risks? Like, one of the things that they get into here in Canada is cold water. Like, you should never paddle out further than you're prepared to swim back, because your paddleboard can burst, right? Well, yours won't, but an inflatable paddleboard can burst, and then you don't have.
My leash can break. Right?
Yeah.
My leash can break. This is never a 100% thing either, right?
Yeah.
We've had people actually. This is the weakest part of the leash, right here. That turning thing, right? That can actually break.
Yeah.
Right. So it's once in a while, it's good to check your gear, and also if you've been using it like 5-6 years and it looks really raggedy, get rid of it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
yeah.
It's like my whistle's all cracked because of the UV damage from the sun, whatever. I'm blowing through it. All my mud is not even making a sound, right?
Well, the other thing is getting a good whistle too, because I find that
So
the tow floats all have whistles built into them, as do a lot of life jackets. But I find that sometimes, you want something that's stronger.
So what
Is that a new one, Steve?
Yeah, that's a new tow float.
What I have here is called a blow-through whistle. It's just there's nothing inside. There's 2 chambers.
Yeah,
So
there's
it just causes the vortices of the air to actually generate that
There's 2
high-pitched
slightly
noise.
different sized chambers, so it warbles. Right?
Yeah. So it causes a vortices. Vortices that actually resonates the air. That's all it is. So on the water, you cannot have a whistle like you see at sports field, where that's a little cork pea,
ball, yeah.
What we call it, a pea in there.
If it's wet.
If it's wet, or if you get actually any seaweed or anything in there, it will actually stop that ball from making the same sort of resonance, the vortice inside, that causes that whistle sound. So on the water, by law, you cannot have a whistle that has a P inside. The little P,
Yeah,
so
so
we
you
call
need
it P-less whistle.
Yeah, you need a water whistle.
Exactly.
Like I usually get the storm whistle, which works underwater.
Yeah, because Fox 40 makes a lot of whistles, right? And they're like $5 a Killing Tire.
Do they
Yeah,
don't
all the
work in
lifeguards
water,
use
do
them.
they?
Sorry?
All the lifeguards
Yeah.
use them.
So the Fox 40 don't work in water, right?
No, it does. It
Oh, it does,
It
okay, yeah.
does. Yeah.
So the Fox
It
40 is
does.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is we could list this here. What is the best whistle to get for use in water?
Yeah, a P-less whistle. That's it.
Yeah,
I can take over if you want.
Yeah.
that's cool. So I guess up next, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, you heard it.
Hear that thunder.
I hope the camera got it, right?
Yeah.
You're always welcome to wait it out here if you want.
No, I'm good. When we were looking, let's see what the outside's.
What's the option?
See what
So I just
lightning
go.
or dark-
wherever. Just follow Steve around.
I'll follow Steve.
Follow Steve
I'm
around.
following Steve. What's Steve up to?
Sharp metals, get rid of it. So that
Yes,
if you
please.
see any sharp stuff, just clean up the beach the best we can. We all clean up the beach, even though they call it the beach.
I saw this, but it's pretty.
What are you trying to say? No, he's getting himself all worked up now.
Every land grab.
Is this sharp?
Yeah.
This is a land grab
Dangerous?
right now.
Yeah, that's
right
true.
here,
You're
right
right.
now.
Yeah, you're right. That's
It's
an
been run
excellent
by
point.
the
Yeah.
police since
pretty.
my son was appointed.
It's very masculine. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a winner.
That's the idea, is to
Ran it
intimidate
like
people.
I can't take it off. I got one hand.
That's how you do
Never
it.
Oh, like the Mounties.
Yeah, well, the guy that ran for mayor, Mark Sanders,
Yeah.
he was in charge of. He was in charge
Well, he
of-
was getting a private. He was getting his consultant, right?
Well, he was like host to all the companies coming here, but he ran the Ontario Place Corporation, which now became King of Surma's portfolio. And yesterday they put up private signs, which, if it retroactively, is weird because
Where did they put up
environmental
private signs?
assessment, just in the entrances to Budweiser Amphitheater and the front too. They're starting to go up private signs, which is out of order because even the environmental assessment that was Class C instead of A or B was because of privatization, but it's not private yet. We
So
have
they're
the
contradicting
permit is in
themselves.
process. The permit is only going to be issued by the end of the year, and
Or not issued if
the
we can-
lease was made. This 95-year lease was made, so maybe that has something to do with it. But the sequence of events isn't proper, and yes, we need a better environmental assessment. This isn't a Class C territory.
Wow.
Oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, they want to stake their claim as soon as possible, get everyone comfortable with it.
Yeah.
There's no other option. It's already taken.
The city could leverage the piece of land that it has. It's about 10 acres, and they're hanging on to it. And it could be like I forget the term for it, but expropriated by the province. For now, Osma Malik is working hard with other councillors to leverage that piece. A federal intervention would help, and we don't have a permit yet, so there is hope. But so petitioning for the federal impact assessment is a thing to do. It's stalling the green belt. Stephen Gilmore, the federal environmental minister, is able to deploy those studies. So we're hoping to at least do that because the plans generate a thermal mass that's going to heat the lake bed disruption, and of course the energy capital in the trees. All these
Yeah.
calculations
That's right.
can be done by energy modeling, and it clearly hasn't been done, or else we would have never gotten here.
Yeah, I mean, sitting through the public consultations and watching them take the feedback and twist it into their own marketing campaign, you can see the great lengths that they were going to, like right from the beginning, right? Like just slowly saying, hey, we're going to do a public consultation. Nope, it's not for the therm side. It's just for the public side, right?
Yeah, so
So-
the public arrives expecting to talk
to-
about the
but
project overall, and they're
Yeah.
given a piece and saying,
Yeah.
now is your chance to contribute to the East Island.
And exactly. And not only that, like when they take all these trees out, they're going to turn this into a heat island. So the average temperature in here, conservatively, is going to go up 5 to 7 degrees,
I bet.
right?
And new trees actually emit carbon. They don't sink carbon until 25 years into their growth.
That's right.
And so there's a huge loss right there. They're functioning for us right now. Cooling. This is an air conditioning system.
That's funny because I'm in HVAC and I actually have built 3D models of mechanical systems
Oh,
and then restore their system data. And that's why I was starting to look at trees and I'm looking at all the mechanical systems that we need to implement to replace the work of one tree, right? From windscreens to the shading to stormwater management. And you think about like all of the systems and the people that were required to replace that. So I'm trying to right now. I'm trying to switch the conversation in building systems from energy efficiency to power and time. because the energy efficiency conversation is kind of sustainability or non-value terms. So it's like then reviewing the technical data of our machines and also of our natural, our trees and our natural. So
Yes. And how did this project ever get past the Canada Green Building Council? Not only that, but got Platinum LEED accreditation. How did it get past the first chapter, which is site selection? And then, of course, this energy model, as in a more progressive way that you're talking about.
Well, this is it. And then what happens to the credibility of those standards of those governing bodies that are trying to,
Yes.
right?
They're part of a sham.
They're exactly. So it's then it becomes a function of paying, right? Payments, and so that's why if we can switch the conversation to power from energy, because we don't have an energy crisis, we have a horsepower crisis, right? James Watt sat there and went in the Industrial Revolution, said, okay, well, I got the steam engine, and then the business owner says, okay, well, how many horses now does that? What's the equivalent of that? And he stood there and he watched the horses, and he came up with the 550 foot-pounds per second, right? And so now we're building horsepower that's just beyond what we actually need, right? Like the equivalent of like this project, like say take this project for example, and then everybody gets the car analogy. Well, am I commuting to work driving an F-150 or a Ford Prius, right? So, I mean, I'm traveling the same distance, right? So then you have to look at, you know, if we're building something, if we're going to create a structure and we create something in the community, what is the actual power that's required and like for what we're actually accomplishing, right? And it becomes like this is all like natatorium design in HVAC, so it's all like pools and it's going to be heavy. So it'd be interesting. We talk about carbon footprint, but I think if we can switch the conversation in society from the energy conversation to the actual physics and the power conversation, now we're talking about like the actual value. So let's say I look and wow, you've got that Ford F-150, not picking on Ford, but you know, and you've got like a 300 horsepower vehicle to drive to work versus the Prius. Now you can do the same thing with buildings, right? So we can take a building and we can say, what's the total mechanical power of that system?
Yeah, the mechanical power. Yep.
Right? So like tons of cooling, BTUs per hour, brake horsepower and pumping systems and fans, right? And then you can start to see two buildings side by side, right? Now you can start to equate them and say, well, what are we using them for? And then how are we managing them? So that goes into the retrofits, but that also goes into new construction, right? So if you say, well, what is the total horsepower of this building or the mechanical
They're bringing
power?
in so many R7 boulders when there are already boulders here to try to replicate the beaches of Goa or something. All these superfluous masses, and then these dendriform shade structures. Well, why not just have a tree? Or if you're already going to build something, make it a chimney swift habitat. There's just no room right now to be making these superfluous gestures at a high energy cost that won't even perform, just add heat to the lake. We have obligations to the Great Lakes community that the previous conservatives once held tight to keep the temperature good for the fish.
Yeah.
So these are far-reaching consequences we're facing.
Yeah. And at a time when we're and at a time where we're seeing changes. We're seeing changes throughout the globe, right?
Yes.
And so here we are, and because we can, we're doing something that is, you know, it's going to cause a disruption. It's going to cause an impact. It's setting a poor example. You know, we've got people that are facing the rising cost of the carbon tax with net zero, right? And then we're doing this.
Yeah, the two migratory flyways that come through here to the Arctic are very crucial because the only way to revegetate the burnt north is to have those specific companion birds to the companion species that they accompany to reseed, of course, in a native way, not in a tree plantation way. I planted 500,000 spruce trees, and those go up like tinderboxes. It's good for pulp and paper, but we need real forests in order to survive as humans in a happy, nature-based technocracy.
Yeah, I mean, I actually sometimes I wonder, you know, it's I've kind of started saying that cutting trees is the new smoking, because I mean those are the freshness. That's what we breathe.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Yes.
So you know, the more the more fuel, the more products of combustion that we spew out. And the thing that's crazy too is that, again, back to the horsepower and the energy and fuel economy of vehicles, we're going and tooling up and switching over everything into EV when, we could just be managing our existing technologies and understanding them better so that we can control them. So instead of, driving a 18-wheeler tractor trailer to the office, right?
Or just reducing those distances too. I mean, we've got a traffic inducer in this project, right? Whereas iPark has created the movement strategy, which localizes traffic more, and every part of the city should take ownership of its local habitat instead of creating a parking lot for 2,000 cars for bumper events and chugging through the city and the frenetic crisscrossing every day and missing out on life while you're at it. It's nonsense, right?
It's becoming the traffic issue in Toronto is really, it's people notice it when they travel here from all over the world. People are like saying, Tom Cruise was like saying, oh my God, the traffic here.
It's primitive. Right? It's just primitive, and we're headed in the wrong direction. Yeah.
That's right. We're not moving people, right? We're moving some people, right?
At a very slow pace.
At a very slow pace, right?
Yeah.
And the roadways, again, they're major polluters, right? Like between the cars, the exhaust,
or batteries,
the batteries, also the brakes, the tires, they're all wearables. They all go into the atmosphere.
We've been thinking in terms of a better kind of wrongness, instead of reconfiguring where we are, what we really need for daily relaxation to be our best fulfilled selves. Yeah.
And that the reconfiguring thing is interesting, right? We think about all of these systems like are built in our natural environments as independent and isolated, right? Even the way some of our communities are built, like the urban sprawls and all that. What we need to do is we need to be able to basically the interoperability between the systems. Like we need to be able to identify them. We need to be able to say, okay, well let's really monitor our waterways. Let's water the temperatures like we would any other system, right?
Yes. Today it's 14.7 degrees.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I jumped in. It was nice.
Yeah.
So
beautiful. It's just so nice to be able to swim here and have access to fresh water and green space and blue space.
Precious. We have to support it. Yeah.
And
I regularly swim in Scarborough, and the water seems a lot warmer over there. And it's also not as clean. That's the first thing I noticed here when I came by, and I was like, it's really clean. And the reason for that, we have larger pebbles and probably something to do with currents and stuff that I don't understand.
yeah, the pebbles are nice.
Chloe.
Go get Chloe.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Well, Tommy, it was a real honor to have you speaking.
Thank you
at
for inviting.
Mersivity-2023. We're going to put the proceedings together. If you have anything you want to publish in the proceedings, say a few words. Send me a little. This is a super awesome paddle too.
Yeah, no, this is my backup paddle because I cracked it at the cottage last year.
Wow, that's beautiful. Huh. Wow, that is really amazing.
It is really
it's
light.
so light, isn't it? It's just, that's beautiful. And it's got the right vortex shedding bar too, right?
Exactly.
It's got a harmonizer.
So the vortices don't actually trigger your paddle to go left and right
Yeah,
when you overpower it. Yeah.
yeah, we call that a shedder bar.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Okay. So, yeah, it's awesome to see you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And have a good, safe trip back.
I will. Thank you. I'll take the long road back. I'll go the other way.
Yeah.
Just a good paddle.
See, you notice he puts the leash up on his life jacket rather than down on his ankle too,
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
because that's the extra safety of being able to free it in an emergency.
That makes more sense.
They don't quite know. I thought they were waiting for, they were associated with us because we talked about it before. But
Oh, is Chloe there?
we're going to try to Twitter her, but then she may have thought it was a rainout or something.
Oh, okay. Where is she?
Not here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One girl was facing that way and not, so I thought maybe it was her.
Oh, okay.
Facing the
Okay.
other way, so I thought I'd check.
Okay,
But
yeah.
Somebody's trying to reach out to Chloe now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's
That
good.
That in fact the weather's good.
Yeah, the weather's good and we're good.
It's also hard to find the site if you don't come here often.
Yeah. And you're Anne, is it?
Yeah. Anna.
Anna.
I also
Is it
go by
Anna?
Anya.
Anya.
Yes.
Okay, Anya. What language is that?
Polish.
Oh, so in Polish is his character said Anya? Is it?
N-I-A.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's.
That's a Polish name, I guess.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Got here in 1982
Cool.
to Magdanel, and then this was a real stomping ground.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Anya. It's a beautiful name.
Oh, thanks.
And then we got yeah.
Well, fans of Holy Ground, I'm assuming everybody.
Ah, yes. So yeah,
She has proposed an amazing research center for Great Lakes research here. I remember part of her platform, and I think that's very appropriate rather than
Yeah.
moving the Ontario place, moving Ontario Science Center to here in a pared down version. Right?
Well, that's what we want to do is UOP, University of Ontario Place.
Perfect.
Leave this as is and just turn, it already is world class, fix up the buildings, turn them into teaching and research centers, and let this beach be a teach beach. We call it Teach Beach because we should just turn it into a research facility.
Well, perfect.
So we're really looking forward to hearing her.
Is that part of a better plan?
Well, better plan is Ken Greenberg's plan.
Yeah. Could all coordinate.
We could all get together actually, Chloe Brown and Ken Greenberg and our group.
Yeah.
We could all get together, like Swim Op is our group, Swim OP. And we have this idea of UOP, University of Ontario Place, which is pretty close to Chloe Brown's vision.
Are you,
Yeah.
okay, are you using that or the phone?
Yeah, we're live streaming for Chloe.
Oh,
And then
Yes, so that's the name of it. Good.
yeah, so yeah, is Chloe on her way? Do you want to just
Not
check
that
in?
anybody knows. I
Okay.
don't have data. I don't hold data.
Okay, so how do we reach her?
She just have a Twitter account that she's really on there with.
Oh, okay, do you want to tweet out to her and let her know that we're here?
Well, I don't have data. I have a flip phone.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay.
do that.
How do we reach her then? I could probably multitask. We should let Chloe know that we're here.
Okay.
So
She could be out there trying to get it because I got confused, even though I know this place well. Our candidate.
oh yes, okay. Chloe, good to see you.
yeah. I was at the other location.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got to head back to work for 2 o'clock.
Okay, cool. So maybe you can say a few words briefly. And we've had some weather craziness, thunderstorms.
I got turned around and all over the site as well, even though I thought I knew where this was. Wish we had contact.
So what would you like me to say?
Okay.
We were just seeing, it's been a continuum of input from lots of people. We're a big company and we were just talking about the potential of a research center here. We've covered everything from engaging with the environment here to where possible stopping points for it. We heard from Ontario Place for all
So Mike Schreiner from Green Party of Ontario started with this morning with a very pointed questions about, you know, whether this is green or not. This proposal that's coming up here, we have this idea of a UOP, University of Ontario place, you know, of a research facility, just take it as is and turn the buildings into a research facility. We think of this as Teach Beach, you know, which is a beach that we can learn from in nature, and to kind of stay with what it is as a natural world. And then the idea of our symposium is to look at sort of these three circles here. Your Earth, which is the environment, which is earth, water, air, the environment, and then there's technology, and then there's humanity. So sort of these three circles, we're kind of at the intersection of these three things. We call it technology in service of humanity and Earth. And so that's the basic idea, is to see technology as an intermediary between the world around us and ourselves. So the environment is that which is around us in blue, and the environment is the human ourselves in red, and the environment is the boundary between us and what's around us, which is the technology. What we call vironmentalism is looking at technology as an intermediary between the human and the surroundings. And so what we're saying is a technology like the proposed spa disconnects people from the lake and is therefore not a very good environmental choice. A environmentalist wants technology that connects the environment to the environment, that connects humans to their surroundings. So environmentalism, or Mersivity, is about fostering this connection between our built environment as a mediator between humans and their surroundings. And what we feel is that my daughter proposed many years ago, back in 2011, a spa here at Ontario Place with water slides going down into the lake, and a research center, a science center, a lab that would connect people to the lake and studies of the lake. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do, is envision the lab envision Ontario Place as something that connects people to the world around them. So we really love your ideas as well, you know, thinking along these lines. And so we've been following your so do you want to hear what Chloe Brown has to say here? Do you want to take a minute? And so she has some really good ideas here.
Are we live streaming?
Yes. And so this is the proceedings. Actually, if you want to step up to the mic even, it'll
Is there like anything specific you're hoping that I'll answer?
well, yeah, what we want to do is if you could speak to the interplay between nature and our environment, how technology can either disconnect us from nature, as you know, a VR headset in the living room, for example. That's what the spa maybe would be proposing, is it's cut off from the lake. I asked, can we go to the spa and then warm up in the sauna and then swim in the lake? And the answer is no. Taris brought a sauna here and set it up at the end of the beach, and we're saying that's more like what we want, is something that connects us. You swim in the lake, go back to the sauna, go back into the lake, and that's kind of what we envision it should be.
So what's a more connective way to engage this space?
Yes.
Can I also ask a question that speaks to Chloe Brown's expertise politically?
Sure.
I would love to know how you dismantle when there are multiple groups onboarded who are providing various euphemisms. Only one has bravely disengaged with this process and off-boarded. Now we have annual building council, LEED accreditation, several architects who profess to be green but end up doing the working drawings because it's a clown job. How does everybody collectively hold hands and step back from a monstrous proposal like this? If you have had any thoughts about that, Chloe Brown, I would love your input.
As a policy analyst, I would advise you to leverage the law. There have been a lot of young activists that have been suing the government for their rights to the climate, and recently a group has won. So instead of just like raising awareness, actually leverage the law. Everyone is equal under the law. There's the federal impact assessment that the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change has at its disposal to stop You've got to chill on that, buddy. I'm gonna do this. There.
Just want to be able to hear, like, so that the live stream can hear what you're saying.
But this is very invasive. Let's back it up.
Actually, if you speak into the mic, I'll be able to hear it from further away. Because without the mic, I have to get in really close.
So what citizens have at their disposal is a law. Through the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, there's a federal impact assessment, and what that is an injunction against developments that would be against the national interest of the environment and climate. So right behind us, we have the Great Lakes. There's a variety of agreements that protect the Great Lakes bilaterally. So between the US and Canada, and those can be leveraged to stop the development of the spa. Groups like Ontario Place for All has recently initiated a federal impact assessment for the study of at-risk species on this land. Yes.
And we will be petitioning here on September 4th on Labor Day at Sunnyside Beach on the 3rd, and hoping to collect 500 to 1,000 signatures for the impact assessment, because there are classifications and confusion about what's private, which have altered the ability to have a full and complete impact assessment. It's very hard to keep up with these legal parameters.
Well, one of the things that I would suggest is instead of just concentrating your activism to the site of where the project is happening, go outside of the city. Like, there are more than the local neighborhood groups that are invested in water preservation. And this is where it's really important to have a broad-based issue to speak about. It's not just Ontario Place that we're fighting for, it's the lake.
The temperature, impacting all the cities.
It's an entire economy. It's an ecosystem, and we need to do better in the way that we frame this issue, because a lot of people, I've only been to Ontario Place once as a kid that grew up at Rexdale. My memories to this place are not as strong as someone who's come here constantly. But if you talk to me about free access to fresh water, that's something I relate to. So instead of making this a hyper-local issue about saving Ontario Place, it's about saving the water so that we can all be hydrated and not die.
We drink from
Actually, that's a very good point. That's an excellent point. In other words, actually, Waterfront for All. Ed Hoare, the organization Waterfront for All.
I do not. I know the organization, but I personally do not spend my time at politicians and thinking heads.
Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, there's a group called Waterfront for All, which is kind of what Ontario Place for All spun out of. And it sounds to me like we need to get all the waterfront together on this issue of what's going to be good for the health of the lake.
I would go past the institutions and actually work with the people. What has this group done to engage marginalized communities, Black, Asian communities, people with disabilities? If I was a person with disabilities, I can't even come down here.
Well, I complained about the wheelchair ramp, but they don't seem to, the wheelchair ramp is too steep, so when they close off the bridge across Lakeshore, it makes it too hard to access.
What is this group doing to engage all demographics in this issue?
Well, I'm with the Green Party. We're going to the high rises in Parkdale because this is our waterfront, right? Well, and we won't be able to get here. We'll be on the other side of a wall where the poor people are separated from the paying people.
Well, it has to be more than just a poor and rich issue. Water is something we all need. If you can't convince me to be a water protector, you're not going to convince anyone to protect this lake. So this is where the issue is now rebuilding everyone's relationship to the water, because they bathe in it, they drink it, they feed it to their children. Is it safe for them to come into right now? And this is where we need to reconnect people to the science of water. There are water treatment facilities that allow you to drink clean water. The water as it is right now is not clean. Helping people to make those distinctions and helping them to understand how E. coli gets into their drinking water is really important. I'm a kid that resonates with Walkerton because I remember my parents boiling water because the water wasn't safe to drink. Evoking those memories help people remember the importance of having clean water, because water is everywhere. Is it safe enough to drink? Is it safe enough to bathe in? Those are questions that you can get people to start rallying around, because when you over-intellectualize an issue, you other people. Yeah. And that's exactly what's happening with this issue. Respectively for Ontario Place for All, they've othered this issue to be an NDP issue, not us issue.
Yeah.
Wow, I
agree. It has to be larger than just individual, one party kind of thing. And that's the real debate that we're doing here. Why are we thinking that different little parties? The real thing is, why are we selling this when as a city we should be building this into something? And these are very important ideas, and you've expanded this to accessibility for like everyone. And money is one way to cut off accessibility. Disabilities are others. You've mentioned a whole bunch of others as well, and that's maybe the real goal that we're trying to do, is make this as accessible to as many people as possible.
Absolutely, and I think this is where reminding people that they have access to the largest resource of fresh water in a time where the world is burning is the message that would really bring people together, because water scarcity is very real. In a nation of immigrants, there's a lot of immigrant communities that grew up with water curfews. Reminding people that this is not just a right, it's a privilege that we have to fight for in order to claim it, is really important to water protection, because we are a very inland province. The Atlantic has the Atlantic Ocean that they have at their disposal. BC has the Pacific Ocean. This landlocked piece of water is something worth fighting for, and the only way that we do it is by making sure that everyone has like unbarriered access to the water. That cannot happen if there's a spa from like Austria claiming that this is their land. So helping people to understand that as an Ontarian, a Canadian, this is your birthright and it's worth protecting is the way forward, in my opinion.
That's a good point, because one thing is the spa. Yeah. Well said. The spa is sort of, there's two things wrong with it. One is it's foreign ownership of our water, and the second is it's isolating us from the water. It's not getting more people into the water, because swimmers protect our drinking water by kind of engaging with it, because fish have no rights. And pollution really becomes the alarm when there's a lot of swimmers affected by it. So if the spa got more swimmers in the water, that would be better. But right now it gets less swimmers in the water because they want to ensewage the beach, destroy it, pave over this beach, open up another beach next to the sewer discharge. We were saying they probably want to do that deliberately to ensewage the beach, find the stinkiest, dirtiest spot to put a new beach. Janet Gates, the CEO of Ontario Place, she says there is no beach at Ontario Place. Don't call it a beach.
Well, this is where it's important to bring more communities down here. As a kid that grew up in Rexdale, the Humber River was my water source. And that's something that's being polluted right now after the explosion of the industrial plant in Etobicoke. The water is now unusable, and no one is really raising a stink about it, because we don't think about our ravine systems and our creek systems coming into Lake Ontario. And that's really where the education piece needs to be. How do you connect people from Etobicoke and Scarborough to the lake? We all have access to it, but how many roads allow you to actually engage with it? And that's where these institutions like U of T, like York University, should be filling buses with kids from North York, Etobicoke, and Scarborough, and allowing them to actually get access to the water, because the cost of transportation is prohibitive. If you want people to actually feel connected to this, they have to see it for themselves. But if they can't afford to come down here, you can't expect them to feel the same connection that you do as someone who sees it every day and has everyday access to it.
Yeah. And so Chloe, like during your campaign for mayor, which you did a rock star job, you said you made this statement, like people are tired of political theater and they want to be at the policy table. So when I hear you say, about leveraging the law, right, as opposed to, turning this into like a single group or a single source issue, like what's your insight on that? Like to actually get people to the policy table, because we need people from all over the GTA, from every corner, to be able to have input, and that's not the way the current political system's set up.
I would make this a broad issue. Water isn't everything. It's a culinary issue. It's a construction issue. It's also a sports issue. There's so many sports that we enjoy as Canadians that happen on the water. If you love boating, you have to be a part of this issue. So make it so that people don't have a choice but to participate. If you love to be hydrated, this is your issue. And the only way that we make it accessible is by breaking down like the over-intellectualization of water systems.
Simplify it down to people.
Yeah, honestly, my parents are from Jamaica. They grew up around the ocean. They understand the importance of coral reef, even if they're not scientists. It's the place where the fish live, and it gives them an ecosystem.
Yeah.
We have so many resources, but it's become such a convoluted conversation as to whose responsibility is it to protect this water.
Well, this is where you have organizations like you were mentioning, like the Green Building Council. You've got Infrastructure Ontario. You've got the Ontario government. You've got all these bodies, and they seem to all be working towards the same, right? And sort of covering off try to cloud this subject, and they are heavily controlling the media, right?
Cameron,
How do we get that?
what if could we draft and suggest policy to put the pollution index right on the water bill so that that was at everybody's doorstep in their mailboxes? That kind of literacy building, like Europe has air pollution index signs in public places, so that we all feel ownership in that, in our part in what we do to the lake and what happens here publicly. And then of course funding within the TDSB policy for that, pushing for programming that connects all kids to our lake. Is it easy or hard to suggest that pollution index and temperature of the lake be published right on the water bill?
That's
I
a great.
would start smaller than that.
Yeah.
It starts with kids. If you can convince kids this is an important issue, it becomes an important issue for their parents who actually have the power to vote. And this is where the over-intellectualization of issues is barring people from even engaging, because it's like, I don't even know what the pollution index is, to be completely honest, because I work in policy. I deal with general ideas.
Yeah.
So
well,
when
E. coli, say.
and that's the thing, E.
coli is
coli
real.
makes sense to me.
Yeah, okay.
If you talk about things that I'm constantly dealing with, E. coli happens with food contamination.
Oh yeah.
If you tell me the water can be contaminated the same way food can be contaminated, you have me. And this is where it's really important to break down the language and break away the gatekeepers of this space. Because the true issue with the spa is the blocking access to what is already yours. Why should you be paying a double fee for something that is yours? And that is where you get people. As a taxpayer, this is a bad investment. If your H&R Block tax accountant was taking your income tax refund and spending it on a project like this, you would have him held for fraud. So you have to frame this issue as if they allow this spa to happen, it's defrauding the public of its own natural resource. Reframe it for as many audiences as possible, because economists worry about this, and this is the blue economy for them.
Wow, I love that. The spa is fraud. That's, if we summarized it in some sense, like that's a really strong. That's a great, an interesting way to phrase it or to contextualize it.
Thank you. I try. But just to get back to the main issue at heart, I think that there's a huge potential to just take the infrastructure around us and readapt it for a Great Lakes Institute. And that institute would focus on water research, protection, and also make sure that more people can get access to the entire lakeshore that spans from Etobicoke to Scarborough. And it would, but what that requires is leveraging the law. So the Great Lakes bilateral agreements that are shared between Michigan, Ontario, and a bunch of the northeastern states should be leveraged. The Great Lakes serves a huge economy, not just for fresh water, but the ecosystems that live in it. And cold coral reef, it's an ecosystem. These are things that can be preserved in order to create more opportunities to sustain life. The spa doesn't sustain life, therefore it's against national interest. We need to be leveraging the national laws that protect us, because this natural resource can dry up and it will lead to greater debts for Canadians. And the only way that we can fight that is by pretty much using the law to protect us. That's what it's there for. And I can't help but stress, but Minister Stephen Jabot is someone who should be constantly confronted about this issue. This is his portfolio. So every time that he's in Toronto, this should be something that's put right in front of him, because as the federal minister who has climate change goals on his agenda, that has a net zero emission mandate, this is one of the greatest ways that he can stop like carbon. Having more water, making sure that the water systems are feeding our land systems, because I don't think a lot of people realize, but we have tubes that have hydroelectricity flowing into the city from the lake. There's a lot of opportunities here, but it requires it requires seeing the lake as an active stakeholder in our own existence.
That's an excellent idea. I love that philosophy. Have you ever heard of that tree that owns itself?
Yes.
It kind of reminds, what you're saying kind of reminds me of that, the lake that owns itself.
Exactly.
The lake that has rights.
And that's where we really have to look at the lake and what it offers. It's energy, it offers food, it offers places where people live, because there's a houseboat community that lives on the marina. It's a really big, it's not just real estate, but it's like an active member of our community that needs to be protected and utilized in a way that helps it self-actualize. I don't know what self-actualization is for water, but right now there's this really big opportunity for us to just really look at wastewater, sewage, how that informs research and development of biopharmaceutical products. Looking at how our fishing and like aviary birds are interacting with the water, because they will tell us the health of the water and the air. So making sure like it's a robust system where we're constantly checking in with the water, making sure that it's healthy will make sure that we're healthy. And that's really all of my advice I can give to it. So yeah, if you see Stephen Gilbo, please ask him what he's doing with this Ontario Place and the Ontario Science Centre file, because the Ontario Science Centre can also support climate research. It's a matter of getting laboratories in the existing space and allowing more students to engage with scientists, because there are scientists that live all around the city. We need to give them space to do research and space to have an audience. Science literacy is really lacking in this society, and the only way to build science literacy is to get more scientists speaking to everyday people so that we can dissect our role in the larger ecosystem and economy.
Very well said. You know, yeah.
So many framings.
Wow. Two things that are really powerful about that. One is the idea of national security. Like, we need to see this as an issue of national security, not just municipal. The second issue is science, you know, because I'm a scientist myself, you know, I do research, I'm a professor. You know, I need a space. I would welcome a space if I could move my lab down to this beach or into one of the pods. I could have a lab in one of the pods. It'd be nice if those of us who do science and water and related issues.
Absolutely, and this is, yeah, and that's where it's like you have the entire CNE that could be supporting additional readaptive space. Ontario Place plus CNE is one site. These sites shouldn't be used in isolation. So it's like, even if you had a Great Lakes Institute for research for water here, you could have horticultural buildings at the CNE. So you're creating an entire ecosystem. It's just about how you engage the end user, and the end user is the recreation groups, it's the scientists, it's the community users. So yeah, just get to work on engaging more diverse groups, because there's a really big opportunity to recapture this space for public wealth, because if we own this research space, we're developing wealth for the community at large. It's really just a matter of like us believing that it's ours, as opposed to just letting Doug Ford get away with another crime.
Well, this morning the security guard said I'm not allowed to bring this musical instrument here.
But it's here, isn't it?
It's here. You know, like he said, this is private property. You're not allowed to bring that. And I said, where are hydraulophones prohibited? And I started recording him, and he said, oh, don't record me. And I said, well, if you want to talk to me, it has to be on record.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this is civil disobedience. And a lot of people forget that civil disobedience is a part of their right as citizens of any country, because progress doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when people break out of their comfort zone and they demand that the world catches up with reality. So I would encourage you to continue like claiming this space is yours, maybe get some bolt cutters and cut a fence, but this government won't know you're serious about saving this space unless you start to do something differently.
I don't know what they make us criminals and then just have a reason to cover this up. I would like to point
People
out
that progress history often find themselves in jail.
yeah, that's true. But
They need friends to bail them out, and that's where it's like, pick someone, make it a rotating cast of like, hey, this week I cut the chains, next week you cut them, have a bail fund, because honestly, activists have been the people putting their bodies on the line to advance the actual conversation about climate change in the face of economic denial.
if we're absolutely not being heard, then yeah, I understand that. But I love how you give so many different ways to expand this to many like circles of thought, and you made them important in numerous ways, and it made me realize that this is really the start of a precedent for many different things that us as a society should be thinking about, whether it's nature, whether it's because it starts like, do we start charging for all these things now? In Hawaii, all the shores have to be exposed, so are we getting rid of that already?
You mean the law in Hawaii, I think, is that it's up to the high water mark as public?
Something like that.
And Hawaii is a great example as to why we need to start protecting our water sources. Hawaii is surrounded by water. There wasn't enough to put out the fire. What happens to a place like this? We've had wildfires all across Canada. If we don't have enough water to put out the fires and then regrow the vegetation, what chance do we have of survival? So this becomes not only like an emergency management issue, it's a regeneration issue, because water is life. If we don't have water, what do we do? There's not enough desalination machines in the world to desalinate the ocean. So we have to be intelligent about this, but also inclusive, because honestly, I know a lot of communities in Toronto that don't access the water because of rumors we heard growing up about what's in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a way, it's a matter of national security, as you point out. It's
Here's a piece of news towards that. Stephen Guilbeault did just update CEPA, Canadian Environmental Protection Act, after 20 years. So we should leverage that, like Chloe Brown's suggesting that we engage the law, because we've got to substantiate everybody's human right to a clean environment. And to the credit of these groups that do cross those ties about modernism and style and heritage, they are answering the call to adopt a tree. I know Ontario Place for All will be engaging in Adopt a Tree campaign, where we share chain breaking, and so that answers culturally a lot of traditions in protecting trees which exist in Parkdale and the Tibetan community, so hopefully we can get that around, but putting yourself on the line is also tricky, I'm sure.
I would push the Ontario NDP to push their federal counterparts who will have push Norm to get the Ontario NDP, who have a coalition with the federal Liberal Party, to expedite this.
Okay.
What use is any of them sitting in office if they cannot expedite the things that matter here?
Yeah, use CEPA.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So we got to put pressure on Norm then to really get down to business on this.
not just Norm, the entire NDP party. They're happily sitting in
Like
second place,
Chris Glover?
doing nothing. Chris Glover, Asuma, everyone at every level of the NDP. They have these coalitions, but they're not using them to serve the working class.
Oh, interesting.
What is the point of them spending their political capital to court liberals if they're not going to do it to help us? So it's really a matter of like showing up at their offices and showing them your plan, because the truth is politicians work for you. If you don't give them a plan on what their jobs are, they won't do anything.
So we need to put pressure on Ozma Malik, Norm De Pasquale.
Might not even be pressure, just they might not know the opportunity that they're looking for.
Yes, and that's where
See, the security just drove by there too, right? You see them, they're watching us, you know.
And we will continue to civilly disobey.
Just by what an excellent protest it is to have a good day at the beach.
Yeah,
Could
and
you
that's
have
the
a
thing.
better?
It's working class civil disobedience is really just taking up space. We need to take up space more often, and it has to move beyond like building awareness. People actually have to play in the water. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
build
yeah, yeah.
appreciation unless people interact with the subject. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, I gotta go back to work, but I'll take your last question.
Just about regeneration, barricades to the beach
Yeah.
and children, and the idea of a pod for outdoor education. How can we make that happen? How can we bring kids, that don't get the chance? Do we connect with communities, community organizations? How can we break down those barriers?
I, as a former politician, treat everything like a campaign. You're trying to win hearts and minds, knock doors, fundraise, put aside a trust to have buses come and really just work with the community to set up days where they can escape their home life and see this. A lot of us don't realize you don't have to go far to have a vacation. It's really a matter of being able to actually use Toronto's spaces. And a lot of Toronto's spaces are really blocked by a lack of knowledge. We don't know how connected our ravine system is unless someone takes us on a walk of the ravine system. And this is where it's really important to become a politician for your issue. Do not wait for the elected to tell you what's important. You already know. It's a matter of you taking up the political suit and running your own campaign. Because this is a campaign. It's a matter of you winning votes now to force public opinion to be on your side. And that's all I've ever did. And I did it with $2,000. And I got it across the city. So this is why I'm constantly encouraging people to not really see me as the politician. See me as like a hacker. I just hacked the system. And I just tried something. The only reason people gravitate to me is because I'm speaking the truth about something that is universal to all of us. That wins a lot more votes than trying to pit groups against each other.
I love it. That's fantastic. Chloe Brown, the hacker. That is so beautiful. We should be on GitLab, not Facebook.
Honestly,
That's
it's
wonderful.
one of those things where it's just, if you can have a dinner down here, a movie night, make people realize the therapeutic value of water, how close it is, you'll win a lot more people to protecting this. A lot of us are starting to realize that the public realm is being sold from under us and we'll have nothing to pass on to our children. Start framing this issue that way. There will be nothing left if you don't fight today.
Yeah, that's an excellent, very, very well said. So we got to get more people down here. In summary, I guess if I had to summarize, this is a matter of national security. We got to reach Stephen at the federal level. We got to get Norm de Pasquale and Ozma Malik and all these people, Chris Glover, fighting for real. Get them mobilized to actually do something. We got to treat this as a science. We got to get scientists involved. Attract scientists. We got to get people down here having fun in the water. We got to get more children fun in the water. I got the big water ball too. If any of you want to ride in the water ball.
This is my second time here. I was born and raised in Canada. I remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they came out.
Yeah.
I watched my first, it wasn't in this, I watched something else in IMAX, but I didn't know about this beach, and I'm a native.
How could you not know about this beach? It's been here 52 years.
Yeah, well, I didn't know.
My first time coming down here was during the election, and it's because my parents are beach snobs. They're Jamaicans. We have beaches everywhere. This is a very different type of beach for them. And this is what happens when our neighbors don't engage us in changing our minds.
Yeah.
So this is really why it's important to go around and get more people involved in this, because we come from a community of immigrants that come from some of the best beaches in the world. Convince them that this is worth saving.
Yeah.
So it's really a challenge because a lot of us don't have a relationship to water because we're inland now. We don't know where our fish come from. We don't know if they're healthy. We don't know if the crab we eat are healthy. Get people involved in those questions. If they're difficult, but they're worthy. I gotta go. So sorry, guys.
The other thing that you said.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Last remarks too. I'll let you get them.
Okay, the other thing you said that I found really moving is save the lake, save the entire lake. This is a matter of national security, not just this beach, but the whole lake. This beach is symbolic of the whole lake. It's downtown Toronto's only access to the lake. We got to really fight for this because it's really our Great Lakes in general. We're really fighting for national security here, not just one beach.
Yeah, and when you go to Niagara Falls, you see New York, so it's just like, it starts to make sense once you travel a little bit. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sorry, but anyways, guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
So many different interesting framings. She is
Yeah.
a hacker, absolutely.
Yeah, she's a genius. Genius hacker.
Yeah, I mean, it takes also, I think, empathy works on the same level as well, right?
Yeah,
How is it
yeah.
relevant to other people? And I hope we don't make it just an issue for the NDP so that we're like only...
Okay. Oh, can you get a group shot of us too?
I thought that were in person.
Can you get a group shot of us? Do you have a phone or something? You can get a group shot of
Thank you.
Can I get one with you too?
Yeah. Thank you.
Actually, I'll come down on this side. All right. Yes. That is very well said.
You got the picture? Yeah. Okay.
Just last one.
No, because I recognize time is valuable. I don't want to feel like towering.
Oh no, I'm actually short in real life. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right.
Is it okay if we abandon and get back to our day?
Yeah,
or is
yeah,
it
yeah, I realize
awesome
we've got a schedule,
symposium?
So, yeah, if we can get some writing, we'll try and transcribe some of that. But if there's anything you can contribute, what you've written, she's a real genius.
Oh, yeah.
Like a genius actor. So it would be great to have her. She'll be much loved in the proceedings by all of the election professors in there, and
On which campaign?
Oh, in this immersive.
This immersive. Mersivity.
Environmentalism.
Okay.
I can't remember mercivity. It's environmental.
No, I do. It's like immersive.
Yeah,
I will sort of look at my ideas of what I had been saying today. I really appreciate it. And I'll forget, and I'll put some words too.
Yeah.
And I'll find you online and see the best.
So, like environmentalism. Just take the first two letters away. And you've got environmentalism. Which is, well, it's a similar thing. It's just maybe easier to remember. So you got the environment is that which is around us. The environment is us ourselves. And the environment is the interplay between the environment and the environment.
Did you hear me trying to say sciencescape? Because there's already a sort of an artscape thing. We need sciencescape.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we need.
With the riff off of the artscape movement, because that's
Yeah.
generated a lot of, like, where people see derelicts, there's patina. It's just patina. And this to repurpose it to
No, I'm not saying that,
Yeah, that's a
economic
good...
thinking, and those are already strings that are pullable, that are in the municipal.
So let's write something together.
People have dangling strings, and like these politicians, I think, don't really have.
Can we get a few words from you about the sauna and everything?
All right, what I can say everything. I already said everything, Steve.
Yeah.
You're making me feel.
That's a slick one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Got it the best.
Yeah.
The most beautiful.
I'll bring this up just a little bit.
Yeah. It does everything you need it, and it's like stopwatch. Yeah, it's lights is your primary interest. Yeah, it's so
Okay, so are we ready? You guys want to gather around and hear?
Yes.
Let's gather around and hear Tarek. Anna, you want to gather around and hear Tarek?
Yes, we're coming.
Taras, speak.
Technical mechanical design or like aesthetic. Oh, so like the I don't think so. At least I have it. Oh yeah, I saw.
You want me to hold or?
Yeah, I can hold it. I guess.
You want to get people behind?
Right.
Oh, I think that's good. I think we want to get us taught.
Yeah.
So if you come in.
You gotta find the balance between the two.
Yeah.
Hi guys, we already met. We spent time together in the sauna, sweating together, which is great result. what I can say. Simplicity is the best. Whatever we are looking around us, it's already here. We don't need to be rich or poor. We just need to come here and enjoy time together. And really, sauna does help you, and cold water together. This combination really bring us to different level of feelings and enjoyment. It's very hard to reach to person's mind through regular communication, through reasoning. My idea is to come through sensing. If you sense it, if you feel yourself, if you enjoy yourself, if you enjoy around other people, then you're come in the right place. And this place already has everything. There is no point to create something new, to make it better. It's already good. It's already best the way it is. And we, all of us who enjoy sauna and all of us experience, we felt it our own skin. We felt it, we enjoy it. Do we need expensive saunas or do we need spas expensive? No, we just need to come, relax, put small tent, put some water, jump in the cold water and have fun. So that's, if you guys have any other questions, I can gladly answer. But
Very well said. Like, I think what's magic about this idea is it's connecting people to the lake. I'll tell you the main difference between that spa over there that you have and the one that's being proposed. The one that's being proposed keeps people out of the lake. So Anya, you know, the difference between the spa that he proposed, he has here physically, and the one being proposed is that spa over there will keep people out of the lake. It'll get people swimming less. His spa brings more people into the lake. It brings more people swimming. So his is Mersivity. His is a good example of Mersivity. And the one they're proposing is an example of anti-Mersivity. His is a good example of vironmentalism. The one being proposed is an example of anti-vironmentalism. It's about the environment. It's not the environment, it's about the environment. It's about the interplay between the environment and the environment. And what he has proposed is the right interplay between the environment and the environment. And our next speakers are arriving by kayak. Get some shots of that too if you get it.
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You guys want to get some shots?
Feels so good today. Thank you very much. And I smell great.
Callum, maybe get some pictures of these guys arriving too if you can. Because our speakers are arriving by kayak.
Thank you, Steve.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really, really a pleasure. That was beautiful. Really well done. And it's a perfect example. It shows, one of the reasons they don't like it is because it shows how simple. It's way better than what they're proposing over there, and yet it's simpler and easier, and it doesn't need. If people realize,
And look at the place. It's we left in the same amount.
Yeah.
In the same condition before we came.
Yeah, we
there
did.
is no garbage trucks.
Yeah.
There is no sewage. There is no firefighters. No electrical wires. No millions of dollars of investment.
yeah,
It's cleaner the way it was before.
yeah, and there's no trees cut down.
And no trees cut down.
All right, Ed
I don't know why.
and Neve, our next speakers are here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's say have I met Neve? Have we met yet? So our next speakers arrived by kayak. Yeah, that's really good.
You know, Steve, I feel like this is really important, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, like after walking through everything, it feels like this is like an enclave of like, just this like naturalness. You know, while on the other side of the shoreline is Toronto, which is just pure artificiality, it's pure
Yeah, this
everything.
is a beautiful little enclave of nature.
Yeah, like this needs to exist, and we can't get it. We can't have it replaced by something that's more artificial.
Yeah.
I'm Neve.
Neve.
Nice to
Wow,
meet
I'm
you.
so happy to see you.
Yeah, nice to meet
This is a wonderful way to arrive.
playing your instrument here?
Oh, I can play it again, yeah.
Yeah? I'm so curious to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
And then like back then.
So was Ontario Place still Ontario Place?
Oh, like like, oh, I couldn't tell you.
Did it have any theme park benefits?
Because it was during that winter carnival thing, and nothing was on it. Just like right now, everything is
Hydrolophone.
but like, but now you know, like after looking at this, you know, you don't think about that. You think about
Was it causing water to vibrate, or was it still air vibrating through it?
No, just water.
Just water.
In fact, the early ones I made, you had to play them underwater.
Oh, you had to actually play it underwater.
And you had to be underwater to hear it.
Amazing. Okay.
So the early ones, I've got it plugged into the speaker, so it's not a loud instrument. If I turn off the speaker.
So I'm not a musician, but I'm taking it as like an okay.
See, it's a really quiet instrument without the speaker. So you can't, so it's loud underwater, but it's not loud in air.
Amazing.
I'd love to learn some chords.
Yeah, so that's A minor, A, C, and E.
yeah. I have
A couple of chords here, A minor, C major, D minor. Take a simple song like House of the Rising Sun, maybe. It goes A minor, C major, D major, F major, A minor, C major, E major, A minor, C major, D major, F major, A minor, E major, A minor.
Again.
So I can play it now. Actually, if you hold on to that, I'll play House of the Rising Sun.
All right.
It's got some. It's just very simple. It's got some nice chords in there. So. Magic Dragon. Who wants to go first? Me or Ed? Or do you want to talk together? Either way, up to you. Yeah. I'm just about. So I'll start off. Do you want to play?
Just touch it.
How do I do C or something?
C is these three. G is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. C major.
So you power chord your way through.
Well, thanks for having me and me. I'm not sure what we're supposed to talk about. I think we're here to talk about Ontario Place and the lake and all that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll just introduce myself. I am chairman of a thing called Waterfront for All, which is sort of an umbrella group of organizations and residents associations and whatnot that are interested in the Toronto waterfront. Some of us got our start politically by being involved in the movement to stop jets at the Toronto Island Airport. Back in 2014, some of you may remember there was a plan to extend the runway on both sides, including into the harbor, and have jets that would pass very low over the harbor and this area here, Humber Bay. And so we managed to sort of stop that. It took a lot of struggle. There's some other stuff we've been involved. I'm a lawyer, so I was involved in litigation against the Rebel nightclub, the Cabana Cool Bar. They wanted to get a liquor license that would allow them to play at all hours very loudly and remove all restrictions that existed basically on that, which would drive the new condo owners and the Islanders sort of crazy. The Islanders have been in litigation with them for something like 25 years already. So
Sound travels.
anyway, we won that case, went up to what's called the divisional court on that. It was a big, long decision. The Ontario reports on that. Didn't make any money out of that. They didn't charge anything, so it wasn't a good business proposition, but it was, I guess, beneficial side of things. Then the other thing is that I'm here in a kayak. I've been kayaking on the Toronto waterfront for I'm not sure how long. I'd say about 25 years, roughly. And when I started, as far as I can recall, I was the only person out here paddling. There may have been a few other oddballs, but I sort of never really saw them. And I'm pleased that the number of kayakers and stand-up paddle boards and people in things like outrigger canoes and people listing boats of every kind on the harbor and surrounding area has increased massively, and I think that that's a really important thing. I think of the harbor and the lake as a kind of a park. It's Toronto's most important park. It's where people come to regenerate and to exercise, to experience sunshine and waves and seagulls and all the rest of it. And so what we've been urging the city fathers and mothers to do for a long time is to increase access to the waterfront, make it possible to launch boats or to swim or to one way or another get into the water or on the water, and there's a number of components of that. One of them, of course, is just to clean the water up. We've made a lot of progress on that. It's definitely better than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you wouldn't think of going to the harbor. It was kind of a cesspool. In fact, to this day, when I say I paddle in the harbor, people always say, oh my God, isn't there like acid rain or something that, rips your skin off and eats your feet away or something? And it's really not like that, but it certainly could be better. There is a long-term plan to reduce some of the direct sewer outlets that go into the harbor. There's a number of them now, and it's a very, very expensive thing to get rid of them. It involves building enormous underground tunnels, and that is sort of underway. It's slower than I would like. It's probably not going to happen in the inner harbor until well into the 2030s, which I think is unfortunate. I think I'd like to see it happen sooner, which is a matter of spending money, a lot of money sooner, borrowing the money sooner. So I'd like to see that happen. In general, I think there should be more places, and Neve will maybe talk about this, to store kayaks and canoes and paddleboards, to get lessons, to meet with friends, to go out and exercise, so just generally one way or another, and of course to swim, which I know is what Steve is really interested in. And this is a beautiful beach, and it's a part of it, and it seems a terrible shame to get rid of it. And I very much admire and thank Steve for all the work that he's done to publicize this beach and to point out to people across the city how great it is and what a valuable resource it is and how foolish it would be to get rid of it. So that's why I'm here today, is to sort of help out Steve and salute him for the work that he's done for so long. One day he might convince me to actually come out and swim in January. but that hasn't happened yet. But maybe one day. I regard that as the ultimate sacrifice. So thanks very much.
Well, you just listened to talk in the closed round where we talked about leveraging the law and political entities like the federal body and the federal Minister of the Environment and the updates to CEPA, the Canadian Environmental Protection Act, and our rights to a clean environment. Our collective rights. This is a federal jurisdiction. It's called the Commons. That's the air, the water. So, I mean, I know this is starting right at a scratch, but what does it take to engage with the law to simply put a stop order on heating the lake with thermal massing as the plan for the future development indicates, and the lake bed disruption and all the things to the flyways passing through and hitting the glass structure? Like, how do we begin a lawsuit like that?
There's not a simple answer. It's a complicated thing. Sometimes there are legal remedies that can work. There was a statute that we could use for litigation about the nightclub, which is really about noise. You're talking about sort of pollution and there I think it would be very hard to win a lawsuit because it's not really a statute
It just
that
happened in
necessarily
Montana.
applies. Pardon me?
It just happened in Montana.
In Montana, yeah. Well, it's a complicated regime where you have three levels of government sort of interacting, and it's certainly possible we'll continue to look at. I've talked about it with lots of people, and it may be that one day we will get into something like that. Mostly what you have to do, I think, is raise awareness of it by doing events like this. And if there's a way to litigate, and if that's going to work, then you should do that too. But it's a complicated question.
Very good answer, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So Neve.
I mean,
Yeah, Neve, welcome. Let's
yeah,
welcome
exactly.
Neve.
That's what I thought.
Neve
happened.
runs the paddleboard rental at Cherry Beach.
It can be.
So Anya, Neve is an interesting guy. He started this business at Cherry Beach, renting paddleboards and kayaks and stuff like that. And what we're saying is we should have something like that here. It would be great if he opened up a branch of what he's doing. What he's done is transformed Cherry Beach into a really wonderful way for people to get easy access, because a lot of people don't buy a paddleboard right off the bat. They don't want to put the investment, but being able to rent something right on the beach and get out paddling is magical. I love paddling because you can sit down, lay down, stand up. It's like sitting on standing in a lifeguard chair. You know, you're way up high. You can see what's going on. It's beautiful. It's magical. And having been able to expose myself to paddleboarding with low barrier to entry, it's just magical. And so if he was able to open up something down here, the New Ontario place at this end of the city, it would reach a lot more people, I think. And it would reach people who need to be reached, really right in the heart of the city. It's really concrete jungle here. Further out east, it's more parkland and stuff like that. And so over here, it's a really tight landlocked space. It'd be magical to have paddleboard and kayak rental here in the same way. Just shipping containers don't need any infrastructure, don't need to put down any trees, don't need huge buildings, don't need anything. Just put a shipping container there and start the business and get moving. Yeah, so maybe tell us a little bit about that transformation of Cherry Beach.
Yeah, come to the west.
So yeah, thank you. What a cool stage. This is awesome. Sure. Is that better? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, just come close to the mic and
Yeah, move this away. I'm
Yeah.
okay. So anyways, thank you for having me here. Thank you, Steve, for organizing this. My name's Neve Froelich. I run a fun little business with my wife, Dana Ruby. We run Toronto Sup and Kayak, located at Cherry Beach. We are a city licensed stand-up paddleboard, kayak rental and lessons place. We're also a registered Paddle Canada school.
So what I'm going to talk about today is how we play our little part in making Toronto a paddle-friendly city. So for those of you who may or may not know, in 2017, City Council actually voted to make Toronto a paddle-friendly city. So I'm just going to talk about that a little bit. Okay, so... Sorry?
2018?
2017. 2017. So that set a whole bunch of things in motion, which I'll talk about a little bit. But I just want to talk about, so why would a city council vote to make any municipality a quote paddle-friendly city? So my thoughts on that is, it takes very little budget from a municipality who are all cash-strapped to improve the quality of life of its residents, right? So one of the biggest things about living in a city and good governance is they're focused on the quality of life of the residents. So one way to do that is, as Ed Hoare mentioned, the lake is a park. We just have to provide access to it. And we have to provide access to it in a way that is affordable, accessible, safe. So back to 2017, the City of Toronto votes the city paddle-friendly city. They then work with Parks, Forestry, and Recreation to figure out what locations can we have vendors in order to provide rentals, lessons, and near-water storage. The first round were 3-year contracts. There were a couple locations in the eastern beaches, known as the beach or the beaches, depending on your preference. And then that was for a 3-year term. And then 3 years later, they decided to open up 6 locations. We went through an RFP process. We threw our hat in the ring and we got a location there. So, it's been one of the most challenging businesses, but one of the most fun businesses. The impact that we've had has been extremely positive. People are happy to see us there. They are happy to be able to come to the beach, to rent a paddleboard, to rent a kayak. We've had so much positive response, and even in 3 years, we're having trouble keeping up with the demand. That's how popular it is. And it's not just us. There are places on the island, there are places in the beaches, there are places in Sunnyside. One of the big advantages that we provide also is near water storage. So if we're looking at some of the challenges that municipalities have, if we want to reduce people's need to drive vehicles and they want to access the water with a kayak or paddleboard, they either need a place near the water to affordably rent them or to store their own vessels. So many of our storage customers come down by bicycle now or transit. We have near water storage vessels, customers that live in condos, they wouldn't be able to even own one if we didn't have those facilities. So, we provide a lot of good, we have a good response to it. I do want to mention that we already, even being 3 years old and dedicating a full 1/3 of our permitted space to vessel storage, we already have years-long waiting lists. So we really need to see more locations and we need to see more facilities. So, in that vein, if a municipal government wants to serve their citizens, they should be looking at what are the needs of the citizens. And I think our business is proof that not only is it well received, but there's still a need for it. And, we have to continue working with our municipal government to provide more opportunities. So, I want to just say some of the ways we've helped, what we think improve, and this is just a short list. So Toronto Sup and Kayak participated, we provided vessels for free for the first ever combined land and sea cleanup effort in conjunction with Shoreline Revival Group and the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority. So that happened as a Leslie Spit. And we're constantly involved in shoreline and water cleanup efforts, so we're actually improving our habitat. As far as accessibility, this is interesting because it ties into eco-friendly. We work with a group called Muslims for Earth, and their mandate is to connect Muslims culturally to the environment by providing outdoor activities. So we had a group of about 20 first-time paddlers. They've never been on the water paddling anything before. So we've managed to make it accessible to them in an enjoyable environment. We also work with Brown Girl Outdoor World to do different events. So we're trying to make sure that there's diversity, equality, and accessibility. During Pride Month, we had a pride flag up. And, you know, one of our staff mentioned, it's like, why do we only have it up during Pride Month? Why don't we just have it up all the time? And because we've had that flag up there, that flag is a symbol to me that people will feel safe and welcome coming to our organization. We left it up, and lo and behold, I got a wonderful email from the Two Spirit organization because they saw the flag, and now we're doing events with them as well too. And that's because they've seen our location. We have a presence there. And I want to talk about, if anybody has an economics background, you know, we always learn about how demand creates supply, but it also works in reverse. So if there's a supply and people see it, people will get interested. So I'll explain exactly how that works step by step with outfits such as ours. We open our doors, we have paddle boards, we have kayaks, we have a professional looking setup that's welcoming. People know they're going to be taken care of, and they walk by our location and they look at us and say, that looks really neat, I want to try that. So, you know, they'll come and talk to us, so they have a point of contact, and we can help them get started. And we've had people who have started with us who have now eventually become instructors. So they've gone first-time paddlers to now they're actually accredited Paddle Canada instructors, which is amazing. So that's the accessibility part. I want to talk about safety a little bit. I know that's a big, big topic and a very important topic. So, you know, one thing that happens when you don't have facilities such as ours and points where people can learn and get educated, they may go to a store, purchase an inflatable product or anything at all, without knowing the ins and outs. They don't buy it. There's nobody there to tell them that you need a Transfer Canada approved PFD, what the dangers are. They'll take the vessel, they'll go in the water in May. So I've seen people go on like inflatable paddle boards that they got at a big box store, no leash, not fully inflated, no life jacket, and no idea about the dangers they're about to head into, right? And that's because there's no pathway, there's no on-ramp to a structured program. So the more facilities that are, you know, teaching people about safety and about the conditions they can paddle in, the better it's going to be for everybody. I think I'm going to finish with, and it sounds like we're blowing our own horn here, but we're not. We have quickly amassed a 5-star Google rating, 154 5-star reviews, which means the response is excellent. And a lot of times, you know, my wife and I and my staff, we take the credit for that. But really, it's not hard to sell an experience like this to get out on the water. You're going to have an amazing time. And to be able to provide people with that opportunity, they're going to respond. So, you know, I have to credit, I know sometimes we're a little hard on the municipality and we always want more, but at least this is a wonderful piece of something we think the city has done right. We just want to see more of it. And I think with that, I'll finish here and
I got a question.
Sure.
So you're next door to the kite surfing place by Cherry Beach, is it?
So there's no formal kite surfing place. There's a beach that's designated Kite Beach, as far as I know.
Oh, sorry, not kite surfing, windsurfing.
Yeah, we're very close to the Windsurfing Club. So we're just west of the Windsurfing Club. We're at the east end of the east parking lot. The Windsurf Club's about 150 meters away from us.
One thing, I really love windsurfing, but I've never done it, even though it's in the city, because I never bothered or felt like I wanted to invest into some club to be part of the kite surfing. So
I feel your organization isn't formed that way, but do you think that might happen in a more isolated prime spot like this, or is that a possibility? How do we
That's a good
prevent something
question.
like that? Or is that even a problem? Is that an issue?
Actually, that's a very good question because it raises the question of other vessels that people can try, like the ball here. I've got the ball you can ride in. There's also kite boarding and with a parachute pulling yourself along. There's all kinds of different things people could try, I guess.
That's right. So sorry. So part of your question, I'm going to just talk about two different types of business entities that we are. Because even though we're right beside the Windsurf Club, we are a for-profit business. It's a licensed vendor from the city. That's the approach the city took to this, right? So there are pros and cons involved with that. The Toronto Windsurfing Club is part of the Outer Harbour Sailing Federation, and all of those clubs are not-for-profit clubs, right? So they are given land in an affordable place because the city back then, and I think they go back to about the 70s, early 80s, the city back then wanted the land, wanted people to run not-for-profit clubs to give people access. I don't know what their fees are these days. They are pretty affordable. In fact, all those clubs I find are amazingly affordable because they don't have a lot of overhead. They are one way to go. Membership clubs come with their own difficulties in politics and pros and cons. I've been involved in both types. I think there's room for both. I would like to see a not-for-profit paddling center, for example, right in that area because it needs it. There's no dedicated place other than our for-profit business that's like just a dedicated paddling center that gives affordable storage and access to the beach. Kiting is a very interesting thing because there are a lot of dangerous elements to it.
Yeah, I misspoke when I meant kiting.
Windsurfing. So we're talking about windsurfing.
Windsurfing.
So I taught at the Windsurfing Club years ago. They have an amazing pro. Instructors, we have this model. It's forward from the PAL Canada model, but it's concentric circles of the smallest one, we call it me, and then there's a bigger circle that we call we, and then there's a bigger circle that we call C, S-E-A, right? And I use that to teach, awareness, situational awareness. When anybody's learning a sport, like let's say on a paddleboard, they're standing on the paddleboard and the only thing they're aware about is their paddleboard. They feel shaky in the paddle. They won't see boats coming at them. They won't notice themselves drifting. And so learning in a controlled environment with instructors is important. So we say we become their situational awareness as instructors, right? To keep them safe until they can develop the confidence in a wider range of awareness.
Excellent. Wow, that was...
Teach a fish to swim, I hope. Sorry, teach a person how to fish.
Yeah.
That was great. That's really good. So we hope to see you here on the in this area if there's any way to make that happen, and getting more people paddling and more people out on the water I think is a really great start.
It's a great beach for it.
It's a great beach. It's like the cleanest beach in all of Toronto.
Beautiful place,
and it's beautiful. So yeah, thank you. Big round of applause for our friend Neve here. And
You're concerned for boarding?
Yeah.
How far away should you stay from
I'm sorry, Ken.
How far away should you stay from those rocks when you're kayaking or boarding or paddleboarding?
It depends how much in control you are. Hopefully you know what you're doing and then you can go right by it.
Black diamonds.
I guess you can pull up the keel too, right? Like on my...
Yeah, there's a skeg. It's a retractable
Yeah.
skeg, I assume.
The skeg, yeah.
What we call a skeg. There's others that have rudders. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of different...
On my paddleboard, sometimes I take out the center fin if I'm going to go to Gibraltar or something where it's shallow.
All right, well, I think because the weather might be moving in, we don't want to be on the water when the thunderstorms maybe trying to...
Talking about safety.
Okay. Hey, can you get a shot of the three of us here, someone? You guys get a shot.
All right.
Can I be in the picture?
Yeah,
Yeah, be in the picture. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Get the hydraulic one, come back.
Yeah, get the netty and the swim and the swim off.
Yeah. It's called Nessie, like after Loch Ness.
Yeah, like the Loch Ness.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Straight up
Okay.
to you get there.
Oh yeah.
Jeez. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now,
What's your name?
Anya Gorka.
Anya Gotha.
Gorka.
so now,
Yes.
the last, we can finish off with a ride in the ball just to show everybody the disaster.
Yeah, I volunteered
So,
for the light.
Who wants to go for a ride in the ball?
No, well,
Ed, do we have time to go for a ride in the ball?
You guys want to try the ball?
Sorry, I gotta get back actually. I think I gotta get moving.
are you going to be at Sunnyside Pavilion this long weekend in September by any chance?
I am till the end of September.
Do you have the other rope, Justin?
Yeah, so I've got a rope here, and then somebody, if you want to hold this to stream it.
Yeah, I got it. Cool. I hope I wasn't too critical.
Yeah, that was good.
Talk about sustainability. We're solar powered. We're completely solar powered. Hook up to the internet through 5G.
You want to sub in your email or something?
They use the actual lake water to clean
send you a thing and you can just
and then, with the exception of the manufacturing process that goes into these vessels, which some of the things done, once the vessel's made and you're paddling, you have zero impact on the environment.
That's really amazing.
You're not putting oil in the water.
Yeah, it doesn't have that danger.
Yeah, that is really, really cool.
Yeah, and you're getting fit.
Yeah. So, and also, and it's definitely in terms of environmentalism, which is the interplay between the environment and the environment. It's all environmental. It depends on all.
I'm curious about this ball, but Ed carpooled here together with me. So
Oh, okay, yeah. And you guys probably got to go.
gotta go. But can you bring this down to Cherry Beach one of these days?
Oh, yeah, I could probably bring it down.
Listen, come down. You can be my guest down at Cherry Beach. Try a few of our vessels. See what you think.
Oh, that'd be great.
See if you can, if we can get this thing set up on our Starship paddleboard.
Oh, that'd be great.
Maybe we can have somebody tow you while you're playing or something.
Yeah. Oh, you know what would really be good is if we put that hydrauliphone on the Starship and did a little concert or something like that. I could introduce it and we could get some well-known musicians or something to, you know what I mean? Like we could make some kind of event.
Oh, I'd love to do that. That'd be great.
Organize some kind of a high-profile event.
There's a drum circle down.
Yeah, I've been part of it once. They invited me. They're like, "What are you sitting here? Come over here."
Yeah, they're very friendly. So Tuesday nights they usually gather, and they seem pretty chill about trying new things. So maybe you can.
That could be a good crowd.
Yeah, with the hydraulics. Sure.
You said when? Tuesday nights?
Usually Tuesday nights if the weather's good. Yeah, sometimes they just ad hoc.
Yeah.
But, pretty informal group.
Yeah, we might need to go attend some appointments. Is there anything you want us to help you bring back to the lab or anything like that?
Well, I guess we should go pretty soon. Maybe we'll just do a quick walk and then we'll get on our way.
Okay. Yeah. I think in 20 minutes, is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
We can wrap up in 20 minutes. So we're going to wrap up.
Just walk you through the rules of the ball.
On our way.
Don't stand up until you're sufficiently deep because you can damage the ball or hurt yourself.
Perfectly. Yeah.
When you want to come in, because
we're going to wrap up in about 20 minutes.
Point towards the shore. Like we can't hear you, so just point through, and we'll know that it will just pull you in because we'll tie you off, obviously.
So like scuba diving signs, like this is okay.
Yeah, but literally just point, and then there'll be one of us who you're tied off to, and one guy will be in the water.
So we're just going to illustrate or explain the simple, safe operation.
Someone's going to get cold.
Actually, Callum, why don't you go through the safety?
But publicly to everyone.
Just so everybody can hear it. Just quickly rattle through the safe, because then you internalize.
Oh, you're pulling?
Yeah, so the safety precautions for the ball are as follows. You're not to stand up or get too high off the ground until you're sufficiently deep in the water so that you don't damage the ball or hurt yourself. When you're ready to actually come out of the water, because it's difficult for us to hear you when you're inside, just point directly towards the shore and we'll know that that's a signal for you that you'd like to come in. And at all times, there'll be one person in the ball, one person who is on shore with a tie-off to pull them in at any point, and one person actually in the water with the ball, making sure that it's safe. And that's pretty much it. No jewelry either. And wipe your feet before you come in.
Come another time.
Yeah, that's
We'll
good.
come another time and beat the ball.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to try the ball?
Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe what I'll do is I'll tell them. So I'll show them you can put me in, and I'll just show them just the general procedure. And then, do you want to go next?
I'm always game for stuff. I just, if I get nauseous now on swings, like I notice I can't roll down a hill anymore, will I be okay in the ball pops up?
Well, yeah, it's fun. You know,
It's not like a barrel, like it just roll fast.
I'll show you. Like, you'll see what
If you get on your knees, you're not going to roll over, and they'll pull you in. So it's up to you to how comfortable you are standing, I guess.
Okay, I've always wanted to try one, so I think I'm going to postpone leaving.
Yeah, we'll take a little bit of.
Yeah, I've seen this on ground where they play like soccer and they bounce, but this is fully enclosed.
What do you call it?
Oh, like you with the red cape and bull.
Oh my gosh, what's that called? Bull tamer.
Bull, yeah. Come on, why are we?
Bounced by a bull in one of the beds.
Yeah.
Headbutted really far.
But oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Except I would think that it would get punctured.
I thought they used barrels, but yeah, it could probably last one bounce. I wouldn't trust it for another. Like a helmet, when it hits the ground, you're supposed to replace it. I've seen these guys going up.
I've been bandaged all my days plans, which is nice though. I didn't know I would be getting on Symposium.
Me too.
Oh, my life jacket. Shit.
Where is it?
Oh, right here. Yeah.
My water bottle.
And hydration.
It's a funny experience because you're not really in.
You see a white water bottle there?
Was that the one you picked? Metal?
Yeah,
So-
white with the black lid. Oh, this is like the memory service. I felt a little uncomfortable in blue light.
See these duckies? Yeah.
So basically, you can see how it operates. You get a sense of how.
And I think it's easier to go backwards. Is that right or no?
Oh, I run forwards, backwards, sideways. Whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fun.
Would
can
you-
go in different directions.
Cool. Well, I figured doing it closer to shore. But he's gonna get into the water carefully, not puncturing his.
Yeah, it's close.
Bubble boy. That is good. Like a hamster. Yeah, I'll do it.
Good fun. The other day with the VR headset on,
Wait.
you can't see anything because
That's perfect. You are like the mouse ball.
yeah, you totally remove
I'm sure there's a way we can like put some little microchips there, pick up how many times it rotates. It wouldn't be difficult at all. Yeah, like ESP32 with intervalometer or gyro.
Yeah, 9-axis gyro.
Yeah, not well. You don't even need such a unique one because you can have many of them placed around. They can all be individually accessed. But I mean, you wouldn't get that. You wouldn't need that. It's already cheap enough. Yeah, you just gotta really be careful not to rip up on some rocks and. Yeah, well, on the way coming back. Oh yeah, I'll bring my towel so I have more of a reassurance when I'm done. Oh, it's not that bad, I guess. I was thinking of that guy talking. I was like, oh, but we don't want to sell this beach. Well, sell it to me because I'll build less on it. But
yeah,
I'll.
it's pretty light. At least it engages nature.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a bigger right.
At what point, who will buy this beach? Really? All right, no, you go. I'm holding this anyway. Yeah, I got.
I won't be long. So.
Yeah, so dry off your feet and
lot of the feet need to be dry?
Just in case
Yeah.
there's pebbles.
Got it. So my thing up is just water. Maybe, yeah. Thinking my luck, I'll break it. Then it's mine. And the wristwatch, I took mine off.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So then it's appropriate to hold it.
Yeah. Throw it in the stroke load or whatever. So now when you want to get out, point back to shore. And so that they because it's hard to do.
There's no audio.
The sound is it's a beautiful acoustic experience. I love that it echoes. It's a beautiful kind of
Oh yeah.
art.
I had some fun. I put my head inside the gong bell over there in the Chinese, and acoustics are pretty neat. If you put your head below a certain point, you can't hear the gong at all.
Yeah, it's really neat how the acoustics is spread or distributed throughout the dome. Do you want me to zip it or do you want to zip it? You're pretty good at zipping.
I can zip it, or we can hear on the other side.
So no, tell them what I usually do is I put my foot over that handle.
Okay.
And I grab this handle with one hand and zip it with the other hand. That's how I usually do it.
Okay.
Take your shoes, take one shoe off. That's what I usually do. When I'm going solo, I'm just one person on the ball or the other person. So if you put your foot on that handle, just put your toes around it. Yeah, that's good.
Alright.
Grab this handle.
Yeah.
But the thing is, hang on a second, I gotta put that.
1 second.
Yeah, you don't want to make too permanent of a valve.
There we go. That it? Yeah. So you tell me when. So grab it like, don't hold it anywhere except the hand. And then pull it 1, 2 and break.
Okay.
1, 2 and break.
2, 1.
Beautiful. And then I can be the ball keeper. So stay down low, because you're going to fall when you hit the water. Get down really low. Let you get on the yeah, perfect.
What happened to this glow about it? Why is it so putting the rest of it?
Because it wasn't actually for this. We added this section here to direct airflow. So it's actually just a normal blower.
Oh.
And then this was just to direct the airflow. You added this afterwards, right? Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
No.
It's also
you can have fun even if you're not running around, even if you're sitting in there. It's a unique experience.
Yeah, and it's a kind of magical experience. It's another universe. You're in another world.
The fall is fun and safety. That's what I love about snowboarding and fresh powder.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of getting hurt.
Yeah, there's all those safety considerations that you want to always be following, but just like for children in the ball, it's safe. You always have the adult supervision, and you're on a tether, so you're not drifting right into the middle of the lake. It's not something you get drunk and go across Niagara Falls and across the Niagara River, glasses of whiskey.
I'd need more than that. Yeah, well, I don't know how many people did. Who knows? I thought I tapped on the screen to have a circle, but it's the circle, of course.
Like this opposite, like this 1, 2, 3, open and go. Yeah, that was fun though, wasn't it?
That's hard. Like, do you rely on going quickly or spreading out your mass?
There's no magic answer. A lot of people hold the ball, but that's not the answer. Because then you're not really balancing. And then the other thing is, going fast isn't always the answer. You kind of go with the flow. You gotta kind of match your rhythm to the rhythm of the water.
I'm sure the waves could affect too, because you got this changing the whole time.
Yeah.
No? Rock, paper, scissors? Well, you go because you're more restrained on time.
Not anymore when there's more important things.
Yeah, you can clear off your schedule now.
So I'll just put it where the end is.
Yeah, and then you want to get rid of anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is totally smooth. This is all.
I would take it.
Take it off?
Yeah, just...
Yeah, you want to probably be free of it.
No, I left it going so it took care of me anyway. Oh, we want to get my hair for a little bit.
Yeah.
This is...
I don't know if the eyeglasses somewhere.
Yeah, they could tumble out. I mean, I have a strong prescription, but I'm okay.
Can you still see the horizon? So the thing you want to do is look at the horizon to get your balance, as long as you can still see the horizon between the sky and the lake, you know, as a line, and that's your reference.
Maybe the laziness will...
Yeah, that's true. You can close your eyes too, but it's harder. More challenging.
Yeah, even just like holding one leg and standing on one leg with your eyes closed, it can take some practice.
Yeah, standing on one leg in this ball with your eyes closed is like, wow.
One thing I don't any walls properly. I just I mean, it's pretty safe here. It's smooth.
Well, what we do is we push you out, so don't get up until you're in deep water. So stay kneel down on hands and knees until we push you out into deep water, because you don't want to fall on the rocks. You don't want to fall in shallow water, so then you get the flow of it.
Oh, I forgot you don't get wet in this.
Yeah.
I got my bathing suit on.
Well, bathing suit is the best.
Yeah.
Just from a connection to the... Like less encumbrance. It's better with less encumbrance.
And you still could get wet, but you're not going to get fully wet.
No, there's some condensate. When you exhale, there'll be a little bit of that fog. Oh, keep the battery back there? Yeah, connect the battery. Bring the battery over, maybe. Yeah, connect the battery. Bring the battery closer. Put it on right there. Yeah. Bring it closer. Tell me what. I think it's pretty good. Yeah. Let's see. Hang on a second. I'm just going to get my bearings here, okay? I'll say one.
It's like you're deaf.
One. Hang on a second.
We can't hear you either.
1, 2, 3.
I can feel your sound. I can't hear you though.
Yeah. Impressive. Keep them up.
That makes sense, yeah.
Get down low. Get down really low.
Just so that oh, no wonder.
So do you think you'll get one?
Well, you know, kids like water toys and we have a lot of them.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, this is my favorite of all the water things. It's just so intense. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, you have to have more than one.
Huh?
You have to have more than one.
Oh, bounce into each other? Like
Forget it. Everybody
bumper
wants their
cars?
own in our-
Oh, yeah, yeah. All the
Well,
kids
you
want
can't
their
use
own.
it yourself. There's no way you can use it yourself. You need like 3 people. So it can't. It's not an individual sport. That's for sure.
You can train the water if you want.
Well, I could. I don't work with them.
How do you train it again?
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, you did some kind of protection.
Yeah. And also lots more spoons than I expected.
Water and electronics intake, well, I mean, it takes extra considerations.
Yeah.
It's still like
Tip this
bubbling
over
it
this
out
way.
here.
Tip it over this way.
Oh, you can move that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, get some video of the ball too.
Right, yeah.
There, I got.
See if she's able to stand up.
I wanted to give her some time to practice. I got her at the beginning, and now.
Or she might be already tired out. Oh, there she is. Yeah, she's got it. Oh.
That was good. Lifeguarding. She has pointed to shore. Looks like it could be tiring. Yeah, but you look like a hamster in there, Steve. You're the only one who can run so far.
Very strange, very nice environment.
Yes, a nice environment.
Yeah, I saw you kind of enjoying the audio of it, I felt.
For sure.
Yeah, but
wants to.
Oh, you still want to go?
I would
Oh,
love
yeah,
to.
right.
Oh, I
Okay.
mean,
I
she
wanna
ran out of
split it
time.
into
Yeah, yeah,
some
yeah.
of these.
So one more ride then.
Take it over so that I can guide it.
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect.
I'm just not seeing so well, but this is
Oh,
cable
grab your
wireless.
eyeglass. Or do you want me to help you find your?
I think I can
your
get
extra-
them. They're right up here. No. Okay, thank you. I got them. Have you guys tried it?
I tried it before. Yeah.
It takes practice.
Yeah.
And strength and calm and balance.
Yeah, it was really hard to stand up. I couldn't. I still couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, movement.
Back into the lake, everybody.
What?
It's still on.
Alright, that looks exciting. I'm self-employed, I have no insurance. So I'm at the end.
Fair enough.
Right?
It wins you too.
Huh?
It wins a person too.
Yeah.
That's good practice for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, that's good. Now, let me just roll it a couple of times. Okay, so get the blower in there again. And then you want to be sort of gentle on the zipper.
Be decisive but not aggressive.
Go around this ball.
Yeah, it's good.
Uses a lot of energy. Oh yeah.
It's
Oh yeah, I think I kind of got. I think the zipper a lot of effort because there's a lot of force going on. I got water in a lifetime a little bit too. We soaked it up in the towel.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Because you look so completely dry.
You got somebody else going next?
Did you get wet?
Well, a little, yeah.
Well,
But it's
I was
not.
taking it easy. You even did flips to try it out. That's
Yeah.
accelerated learning.
One of the best people in it.
I like snowboarding, skateboarding,
Yeah, those all take.
trampoline.
Yeah, balance. It's tempting to just stretch your arms out, and then you'd have to have a more fitted ball to your exact
I tried
radius.
to do that, but I couldn't do it.
Touching the ball at all, though, if you're really it's the wrong way to think. Like a lot of people say, oh, the ball's not my right size. It's not the right size for me because I can't touch the sides. But ideally, you're not really touching the sides much, if at all, because the right technique. If you're relying on the sides, you're not really, your core isn't engaged, and you're just going to be falling even more. Like you see people holding the ball and they just fall down. You know?
Yeah.
Because the
false sense
idea,
of support.
The idea is to engage your core muscles and get a sense of balance so that you're standing. And if you do touch the ball, it's only very lightly. You might brush against the sides of it very lightly.
Steve, is there any... Oh, wait, you're just going to wear
Not really supporting your weight. Yeah, I'm going to wear them back.
All right, no problem.
I'll put that around my neck.
Oh, okay.
Don't throw them in the bag or they'll just get all scratched up.
That's true.
And put that in something. Put that.
Ah, right, yeah.
So it doesn't pop open in the bag.
How about these plastics?
Yeah, I should wrap something around those too. Okay. Probably wrap my towel around those and my other glass will wrap something around that as well.
Riveting in our content.
This is a chalk line for construction? Or a plumb line? What
I
is
don't
that?
even know. Yes, it's for construction, exactly. Looks like it's advertised
pulls.
towards...
It's a good winch.
Yeah.
Got strings.
You're heading out, or? Yes, we're heading out.
Thank you very much for organizing this and catching me on Friday.
Yeah, and I think you have the
Yeah. We could make the air pump spin, then it would go faster.
Is that yours? Yes. Okay. I know the pump is that, right?
I got 2 bottles of water.
Yes, everybody hydrate.
Sure. All right.
How did that not happen? Oh, it's close to the end. No mystery there.
Yeah.
Keep filling up every day until it's the fresh, it holds straight. It's a good bottle. Well-made bottle.
Where's the cap for it again?
Right here, I got it in my hand.
All right.
Still got 4 bars in my battery. See all the way home. Huh? Yeah, we could probably end it.
I've got a sky shot there at the end.
Yeah, we could probably end it with swim up on Ness. Beauty.